Andy, my dude, have you heard of the magical website builder known as Squarespace?
Ugh, not another Squarespace ad. I feel like every podcast is sponsored by them.
Hey, don't knock it till you try it. Yes, okay, it is overhyped, but actually it lives up to the hype. Squarespace is like a website fairy godmother. With a click of a button, your site transforms into a beautiful masterpiece.
A website fairy godmother? That sounds interesting. What makes it so magical?
Well, for starters, those slick templates make anyone look like a professional web designer. Pick one, customize the colors and fonts to match your brand, and voila. Plus, the drag and drop fluid engine is so easy, your grandma could build a site on Squarespace.
Well, she did knit me a lovely scarf last Christmas. Maybe website design is next.
Exactly. And when you're ready to sell your Nana's handmade scarves online, Squarespace has built-in e-commerce. Add a store with one click. Get flexible payment options. Then watch those sales roll in. And when she wants to teach others her steezy scarf skills, Squarespace's new courses feature is just the ticket. Nana can set up her curriculum and enrollments and payments in a snap and become the next e-knitting influencer.
Oh, wow, you really sold me with the grandma angle. Sign me up for that free trial.
Just go to thenextreel.com/Squarespace and transform your site into a beautiful Squarespace masterpiece.
Well, thanks, Pete. Even though it's overhyped, Squarespace actually sounds perfect for Nana's site's needs. Appreciate the warning on the ads, though. I'll brace myself next time I listen to a podcast.
Anytime. Let me know if you need any help getting that site up and running. Andy, can you believe we've almost hit 700 episodes of The Next Reel?
I know, it's crazy. And with all the other episodes in our family of podcasts, we are well over 1,200 episodes of movie conversation. It's really pretty amazing that we've gotten to have these in-depth movie chats every week for over a decade now.
And we couldn't have done it without our loyal community of film fans. Their support over the years has meant so much.
For sure. That reminds me, we should give the merch store a shout out. Buying shirts from thenextreel.com/merch is a great way listeners can continue to support the show. Plus, they get to sport our great designs.
Absolutely. I think sometimes folks forget we have a variety of shirts, mugs, phone cases, and more available. In fact, a great place to start is with a shirt sporting the Next Reel's logo.
We also have that classic Fast Times Spicoli Surf School tee, or the weirdly popular Rusty's European Tour shirt.
The one from National Lampoon's European Vacation. Why is that so popular?
Search me, but we have sold a ridiculous number of those. I guess there are a lot of Rustys taking trips to Europe?
We're always adding new designs based on movies we've covered, like our brand new design for a streetcar named Desire, featuring a streetcar named Desire. So if you want to rep your love of TNR and films, head to thenextreel.com/merch.
Every purchase helps us continue to have these weekly in-depth conversations. So visit thenextreel.com/merch today.
And as always, thanks for listening and being a part of the Next Reel community. We've got lots more great movie chats coming your way. I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Andy Nelson.
Welcome to The Next Reel. When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
In just a matter of seconds, you're going to hear a classic episode of this show from back in the day when we called ourselves Movies We Like.
It took us a while to settle into the show's format, so you'll notice some differences as you listen to these episodes. For instance, it takes us a bit of time to actually get into the conversation about the movie. Things like that.
But we're still proud of the conversations about the movies themselves, and we think they're worth keeping in the library.
So enjoy these episodes from our back catalog. And you can become part of our Discord community, learn more about the show, and find out how you can become a supporting member at thenextreel.com.
So thank you, everybody, for downloading and listening to The Next Reel. We appreciate your time and attention, and we hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to The Next Reel Shorts, everybody. I'm Pete Wright, and that there is Andy Nelson.
Hello, hello.
If you've been listening to the show for a while, you know we're in the middle of this mini-series on the movie sites and the movie people that we adore. Today, we are talking about one of the most fantastic pieces of internet glue that keeps our movie lives together. We are so thrilled to welcome Matthew Buchanan, co-founder of Letterboxd.com. Matthew, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. It's great to be here.
We are just thrilled to talk to you about this site. It is... I don't know. Andy, when did we start using it?
Well, I started using it personally before we started using it on the show. I think we started using it on the show about midway through. So, about, I don't know, feels like 100 episodes ago or so.
Yeah, I think you're about right. It is one of the things we talk about every single episode, and we know many of our listeners have their lists on Letterboxd.com. Tell us, Matthew, a little bit about the origins of the site. Why this? Why choose to spend your time on this particular kind of site?
Sure. Well, this goes back a little way. I guess for me and the people I work with, we really were sort of looking around, and we had social sites where we could share our photos, and Twitter and other places like that. But we didn't really feel like there was a great home for sharing what we loved about the world of film. So I'm a co-founder also of a small design and development house, and so we built smallish products before, but we thought, let's challenge ourselves and think about what we would do if we were going to build some sort of a social tool around film watching. And I guess it took probably a couple of years. This is dating back, I guess 2009 is when I first started seriously thinking about it, started to draw up some sort of awful looking, I would never share them with you, awful looking initial mock-ups. But I would sit down and I would sort of try to convey what was in my mind onto the screen, and it wouldn't work, and I'd step away from it for 6 months, and then I'd suddenly get a burst of energy, and I'd come back and do it again. And by, I guess, sort of later in 2010, I was actually thinking, wow, this is starting to take shape in, as far as what I imagined, and translating that to something that I could see would be a real product. So we decided as a team that we would put some time into building this and see where it took us. So we spent, I guess, the better part of 2010 building out to a point where we could launch, and our private beta was launched in was 2011. It was 2011 Brooklyn Beta, the conference in New York, and we sort of showed a 5-minute video of what the site could do to a crowd of about 300. I've never been more nervous in my life getting up on that stage, but the response was great, and people wanted to come and talk to me about it afterwards, and so we handed out heaps of little sort of codes to get yourself in prior to a public launch, and we started to sort of have people on board, and it was a slow start, but that built from there.
Now, how much of the site was actually there at that time? Like, how did it evolve from what you guys started with? Like, did it start with just a diary? What was kind of the growth of it?
So the film pages were all in there. The film diary and reviews were all in there, and the list making, although it probably wasn't quite as built out as it is now, that was in there too. So I guess that was when we started. For me, the sort of the film diary side of the service and the list making were the two kind of key areas that I thought would be the ones to focus on, and the ones that would, we all love to sort of group movies and have our lists of favorites and so forth. But we also, like me personally, and I know a lot of our members are very sort of OCD about keeping track of everything that we watch. And we had somebody that went back under their bed, found a shoebox full of every movie or every ticket stub that they'd seen since the late 1960s,
wow.
I think, and meticulously went through and entered them on the site. So it's
that's dedication.
That level of obsession that we really wanted to cater for with that side of it. So I think you'd recognise it as being similar to the Letterboxd of today, but we've layered a whole lot more on top of that, and we've got plenty more to come. Let's say
that description of that user, right? The user with the decades of ticket stubs under his bed. Is that the person that you're targeting with this site? I mean, when you look at if you think about your ideal user, the person that you are developing for, as you guys are rolling out new features, who's that person?
I mean, I think that definitely is. That's where we started. We started with the people that we knew that we could encourage, by saying, hey, you could keep a diary of all the films you watch, and that is enough for the film geek or the film obsessive to say, yes, that's something I want to do. I want to share that with the world. And I think as we grow, perhaps we're sort of starting to look at a wider demographic, and to me, everyone that has a Netflix subscription, everyone that that goes to the cinema is a potential user of the site. Not all of them are that obsessive about it. Some just like to go and watch a film, but we really want to sort of grow in a way that we can appeal to that sort of slightly wider demographic than the complete obsessive film nut.
Well, what I love about it is, poking around on there and reading people's reviews and thoughts of movies is it's clear as you kind of go through it that it really is a place for people who love movies. It's not just professionals. It's not just casual fans. It's such a wide swath of people. And it's great to kind of, get into conversations with such a wide variety of whether it's a film critic or just a film student. And I think that's great.
That was really important that, there are so many outlets for professional film critics online. We didn't want to recreate that. We're thrilled that some of those critics have chosen to also post sort of short reviews and other material onto Letterboxd, and that's absolutely, couldn't make us happier. But really, we wanted to be that place, that voice where we amateur critics could also take a wee stab at getting our opinions of what we love and what we didn't find so great.
Who's as you look at people, as you see people across your screen who have started to use Letterboxd, is there anyone out there who came to you as just a gobsmacking surprise?
Well, we have a few whose writing I enjoy. Matt Singer is one. He seems like a great sort of everyman, but has published some of the funniest reviews that I've seen on the site. David Ehrlich has been through a number of different sort of posts. He was with Film.com for a while, then with Little White Lies in the UK, and now he is a staff writer at Rolling Stone. And he makes great use of the site. And there's guys like Glenn Kenny and Keith Phipps from the Dissolve. May it rest in peace. And really, there's a ton of those sort of caliber of users like Nigel Floyd as a film critic in the UK, and he uses it a bit. Roger Avery, the producer of Pulp Fiction, has an account. I don't think he writes a lot of reviews, but he keeps all of his film watching and rating on the site. So yeah, it's terrific to see that that sort of I guess people that are famous or moderately famous in the world of film criticism jumping on and sharing their stuff.
The just a spin-off of that particular question. You're in Auckland, New Zealand right now, and here we are in Portland and Arizona, U.S. We love Letterboxd. We love the sort of global community that you guys have created. How broad is your reach? How big is the site right now? Is that something you're talking about?
Yeah, we don't sort of make a big deal about that. We always want it to be sort of getting bigger and bolder. I think we're at about 250,000 member accounts currently, and I think globally, I think it's just a bit less, maybe 45% of membership is in North America, followed by another 20-25% in Europe. So we're were building and developing the site in New Zealand, but really it was always our intention that it have a global focus and attract users from all over the world. And there's a huge community in Brazil that uses it, and it's really, I think, it's all of the language that we have on the site is written with no U's and words like color and favorite. So that's probably a little tip to the fact that we were thinking really about the very important North American market. It was at the forefront of our thinking.
Well, 250,000 accounts is nothing to shake a stick at.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, let's push it to the next million and beyond. I think that's we're very keen to accelerate the growth as much as we can.
I'm really curious because you guys use this site to kind of track all the movies that you have called TMDB. And we're also used to IMDb. I'm just so curious about this TMDB versus IMDb and what the difference is and why you guys use TMDB.
Sure. So I think it all came down to at the time we were first looking at what the data source was going to be. We looked around at a few, and TMDB is a free crowdsourced alternative to IMDb. I think at the time that we were first building out the infrastructure of the site, we looked at licensing IMDb's data, but we're a small non-funded sort of portion of a small studio, and they were asking, I think, $10,000 per annum to license us their data, whereas TMDB is free to use even for commercial ventures. So I think for us at that time, just starting out, it was kind of a no-brainer that we would choose and support the crowdsourced alternative rather than putting our hand into our empty wallets. So
Gotcha.
So I think we've certainly found that TMDB has probably it does not have the breadth of the IMDb's titles, but in terms of the popular mainstream titles, there isn't a single one that isn't represented in great detail on TMDB, and because it's crowdsourced, if anything's ever missing, that it can be added within a few hours for you to log it, rather than going through a process with IMDb, which I'm sure would take substantially longer to submit. And
as somebody who has submitted to both of them, it is definitely easier on TMDB. I will attest to that.
As we talk about, as you talk about the kind of the growth of the site, what does your development cycle look like? I mean, are you working on kind of a new major release, or do you regularly iterate with new smaller features and anything we can look forward to, like potentially, I don't know, landing pages or profile pages for podcasts? I don't know where that came from. A little bird.
Know what I mean?
That's probably potentially a little ways into the future. We've always had this idea, and I don't like to sort of pre-announce anything, so this is simply what we have tossed around. But the idea of sort of groups that members can belong to sort of within the site for discussing a film or a topic has been something that we have thought about. Public-private groups, perhaps. I think we're a little ways from that, but that's definitely in our thinking. And I think podcasts or film societies or anything of that nature, I think that would be a terrific addition to the site to support that. We do iterate quite often on the site, but it's always sort of small incremental feature releases rather than a sort of a huge new version any one time. The last sort of year and a half, we have spent splitting time between developing an API, and the API is in support of what's coming first will be our iPhone app, which we're hoping to ship. We're hoping to ship in the next month or two. The patron members of the site have all had access to the beta releases of the iPhone app since about, I guess, November last year, and the feedback's been great. So that's something to look forward to. And once the iPhone app is out for everyone, then our next step is to ready the API so that other parties, third parties, will be able to have API access into the network, and we imagine there'll be all sorts of ideas that can leverage upon what has turned out to be quite a thorough sort of coverage of the features of the site so far. So that's sort of what we spent the last year doing. We're not able to devote a whole team full time to working on the site. Unfortunately, we get a little bit of revenue from our paid members, bless them. But really, we also have, as you can imagine, substantial costs and servers and bandwidth and so forth. So we spend the time that we're able to, and we're always, that's another reason for us to really be pushing for more growth, so that we can afford to spend more time on developing new cool features for everyone that loves the site.
Absolutely. Yeah, you already have a lot of great features, and having the phone app would be great. And I mean, just really anything you guys keep developing with it, I'm sure people will love. When you look at it, though, and what you guys have achieved with the site overall, what are you most proud of? What things that are on the site just make you really smile?
I mean, I think, for me personally, it's really just it's the whole thing. It's not one particular feature here or there. I love the way that people have got so passionately engaged. You only have to look at Sally Jane's review of The Danish Girl to see that there's several hundred comments on there, over 1,000 likes on her review, I think, and it's to get a group of people that sort of excited and engaged is tremendous to me. So I think our greatest achievement is just having built something from nothing that is now used by hundreds of thousands of people globally, which is on a sort of a personal level is really the best thing that we've done, and there's lots of small things that I think are cool, but the sum of the parts is where it really works.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, just the different sorts of reviews. And I mean, I personally have been really enjoying, I'm totally blanking on the person now, but the user who is writing the reviews, like he's watching movies with his mom and then writing her reviews for her.
Yeah, we featured them in the latest call sheet newsletter, and they tweeted their excitement about being mentioned.
Yeah, very funny. Good stuff in those reviews.
So, Matthew, you've got your own site, MatthewBuchanan.name, and you write things that are similar to the kinds of things that we would see on Letterboxd, but in a little bit broader. You also have a battery indicator on your navigation bar, which tickles me to no end.
That might be the first time that someone has publicly mentioned that back to me. It's actually the battery indicator is timed to the time of day for me. So when it's 7 or 8 a.m. here, it's on 100%, and then it depletes over the course of the day till about 10 or 11 p.m. when it shows as empty, and then overnight it shows a little recharge. So I just thought that.
I cannot tell you how tickled I am by that little feature.
Thank you. I'm tickled that you noticed.
Oh, jeez.
That site. I was much more sort of prolific on that site in years gone by. It's powered by Tumblr, and I have to say, in the last few years, my putting time into Letterboxd has sort of taken away from the spare time that I used to spend trawling the internet for great things to post on there. So the volume of posts is probably a little bit less than it once was, but thank you for noticing.
Well, that's all right. It's I can see it is definitely slowed down, but it's still a fascinating little piece of your identity. And so I wonder how you characterize yourself as a film fan. What kind of a film fan are you? And where do you get your movie news? What are your favorite movie sites?
Right. Well, I used to be a big reader of The Dissolve. I guess most of my movie news comes from Twitter now, and just following, along with a few publications. And I'm a huge fan of Little White Lies, which I mentioned previously, which is both an online and a print publication in the UK. They have a really great point of view, and so I think that's for many years before the internet, I was an avid reader of Empire magazine, the UK edition of that, and I had literally stacks and stacks of cardboard boxes of back issues, which I very sadly parted with a few years back to some lucky eBay sort of purchaser, as I recall, and that was where for a long time, pre-internet, where my interest in film came from. I quite like reading the behind the scenes stuff. I devoured director commentaries. I think in another life I may have been someone that would have worked in the film industry or in computer graphics or something like that. I've dabbled in a previous sort of part of my career with 3D graphics and so forth. So in terms of my film interests, I quite like the sort of claustrophobic, sort of small stories told in limited spaces. I enjoy a lot of sci-fi, but also genres that really sort of play to that feeling of paranoia and those sort of things. So that's really where you'll find me. But really, my film interests are pretty broad, as you'll probably see from looking at through my profile page, and it's great to be able to have an online place where I can collect those thoughts.
You say you also are co-founder of another design firm. How much of your time do you and your team spend on Letterboxd versus kind of the day job?
Sure, I guess it's probably around 20%. It's hard to say. It differs week to week. We use our client services business to support the work that we do on Letterboxd, and so it will differ, on a month by month basis as we work on different projects. But at any one time, there's generally one or two of our team of 11 who are spending their days on Letterboxd, and it's as I said, we'd love to be able to put more time into it, and the success of the site will continued success of the site will enable us to do that.
Well, it is a fantastic site. I am constantly checking in and tracking everything that I watch on it, and have all my little lists, and it's a great resource for me, so I don't have to rely on scraps of paper for all that sort of stuff anymore. So I really love it. Is there any place that you should, if people want to find more about you or the site, they should go check out different blogs or Twitter accounts, etc.?
Well, we've got Letterboxd on Twitter, which is my personal Twitter is MRB, and you'll find me there. And other than that, I think just on letterboxd.com itself is the best place to sort of stay tuned. Most announcements will be posted on our blog, and we're pretty good at announcing everything on Twitter as well.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and help you on this one because you've already mentioned it once. I got to plug the Call Sheet newsletter. Is that an automatic thing when you sign up? You're automatically subscried to it?
Yeah, you are by default unless you opt out. So
okay, so the message then is don't opt out because it's great.
It really is.
I think that goes to about 170,000 every month. So that's the audience there, and that reviewer and his mother will be pleased to note that they've arrived in 170,000 inboxes. if they're listening.
Such a
Well
good
deserved.
story.
Well deserved.
Matthew, this is such a treat. Thank you so much for spending your time with us this I guess
No
afternoon.
Yeah, it is afternoon. Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and I hope to speak to you in the future.
Absolutely. For again, everybody, Matthew Buchanan, from co-founder and one of the team at Letterboxd.com. And if you haven't heard of it, it's Letterboxd with no trailing E, BOXD.com. Go there, sign up. You can follow us at The Next Reel and join the community at Letterboxd. It's just great. Very, very nice, high-quality discussion and great reviews. Matthew Buchanan, thank you.
Thank you, guys. See you at the movies.
Oh, it's a closer. He's already closed the show for us. That was so elegant. And I also have to say, not to prolong the thing, but you have one of the classiest headshots of anybody that has come across our show. It's like old school silver tone, black and white. It is very classy. It feels like you should be.
It was done with a tintype process in San Francisco last time I was there. There's a little, I can't remember the name of it, little shop down there in a out of the way place that has a proper original sort of set up with a tintype camera, and
wow.
they did I went into the development room and watched them put all the chemicals on and process it. It's pretty amazing
cool.
to watch.
Well, the results speak for themselves. Very classy guy, this Matthew Buchanan. So thank you so much. On behalf of Andy Nelson, I'm Pete Wright, and we'll catch you next week on the Real Show. Thanks, everybody. It is hard to believe we have been having in-depth conversations about movies since 2011.
You are telling me. Producing this show week after week requires a ton of work behind the scenes. If you'd like to help support our efforts, one easy way is by using our Originals page when shopping for books and movies that we've covered.
Just visit thenextreel.com/originals. Your purchases made through our links give us a small commission at no extra cost to you, and allow us to keep having these great discussions.
Season 5 had some great adaptations, like our Meryl Streep Oscar-nominated performances series. We covered adaptations like Kramer vs. Kramer, Sophie's Choice, and The French Lieutenant's Woman.
It's a real Sophie's Choice between those books. You see what I did there?
Yeah. And I don't think it's quite at the level of a real Sophie's Choice.
We also did Snowpiercer for our Bong Joon-ho series, adapted from the French graphic novel Le Transpersonnage. Man, I love that movie.
We had our two-part 1939 series that included adaptations like Gone with the Wind, Ninotchka, The Women, and The Hound of the Baskervilles.
A number of those 1939 movies, like Goodbye, Mr. Chips, also tied into our recent 1940 Academy Award Best Picture nominee series.
Our naughty children horror series had creepy adaptations like The Bad Seed, Village of the Damned, The Innocents, and Children of the Corn.
For our Hayao Miyazaki series, we talked about his take on Lupin III with The Castle of Cagliostro, plus his own The Wind Rises.
Some great listener choice picks too, Viridiana and The Great Escape.
And for our David Mamet Wright series, The Verdict, The Untouchables, and Glengarry Glen Ross.
Plus, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang from our Shane Black series adapted from Brett Halliday's novel, Bodies Are Where You Find Them.
Dive into the sources for all of these at thenextreel.com/originals.
Every book you buy helps support the show. Check out thenextreel.com/originals today and find your next read.